Even thinking about that is like, if he's gonna act like a hard R, it's like, what does a hard R act like? Because he stole, he's acting like an N-word now. Again, it's how y'all doing. Today we got this video by Omizi. She got 500K for calling an autistic 5-year-old a slur. Now, I was seeing some tweets about this, and like she raised the price even more. Because at first she got 200K and then she upped it to like a mil apparently. But let's hop right into it, let's go.
You call him the child? Did you call the child the word? It is my own business. You call
Wow.
him okay, why don't you
Wow.
have the boss to say it right now again? Okay.
Is she
All
even
right, that's what you
American?
say. Nobody dig into your that little kid, you call him the little child?
Yeah.
Are you about to
Wow. He's gonna act like one.
so that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old an N-word. That's what you're gonna call him. You know that's a hate speech. And you can be recorded for that. Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about you.
Yeah, I can't wait.
We'll see what the internet has to say.
I'm sure they'll be calling for her
The
name.
niggas made her
Karen,
rich.
calling a black person something crazy at the park.
He really did that. Let's see what the internet has to say. They made her rich. Not rich, well, rich. Compared to a lot of people. She has more money than a lot of, like, the majority of Americans now.
The child, they have to be getting her up out of here, like, right? That's the only thing that makes sense.
Right?
Is that
Right.
is that $1 million goal with half of it raised for her being racist?
Okay, so she did raise the goal
I
to $1
thought during
million.
the pandemic times, the country peaked when it came to racial divides. Coming into 2025 with divisive situations like the Carmelo Anthony situation, you know, the election of Donald Trump and other things like that, there couldn't be much more that could happen that could divide this country any further. At least I would think. But apparently when this racist white woman named Shiloh Hendricks went to the park and called a disabled child the hard
nigga was
R
disabled?
N-word, she
Oh,
was
yeah,
able to
he's
raise
autistic.
$500,000
I forgot that part of the
for $1
title.
million for literally being racist. I think this country has lost its mind.
Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again?
Not now. It's been
Okay.
bad.
All right, that's what you say. That little kid, you call him the little child? Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
Her claims are that this 5-year-old child was digging into her things, you know, stealing whatever sort of snacks she had packed for her child. Now, maybe if something physically was happening to her child, then I could understand it. But this is a park filled with like kids, like true kids. Him taking something while it being wrong doesn't then mean that you retaliate with a bunch of racial epithets. And then as
Yeah.
you heard in that same clip, she said that she was willing to chase him and hit him because if he was acting like a hard R, he was going to get treated like a hard R. I also think it's crazy because there's a lot of non-black
Even thinking about that is like, if he's gonna act like a hard R, it's like, what does a hard R act like? Because he stole, he's acting like an N-word now.
seemingly in this situation saying the N-word, but you know, hey, I think what really puts the icing on the cake, and she may or may have not known this, but I don't know, as a parent or as just a person living in society, I think she should be able to tell this. But the 5-year-old in question who was stealing, you know, the go-go squeeze or whatever the hell out of this person's, you know, diaper bag. I'm not gonna lie, go-go squeezes are kind of good. But the 5-year-old in question was autistic. So not only was he a 5-year-old child, he was
Go-go
an
squeeze is
autistic
good.
5-year-old child, you know, looking for snacks. I'm pretty sure that little boy has no clue what's going on. He might not even
That's
know
what
what
makes it
the
even-
N-word with the hard R means. He's just running around at the park.
Even the
And it's
average
very
5-year-old
sad to see
most
that
of the time
his
doesn't even know
first
that shit.
sign
So it's
of
like,
racism is at such a young age.
Yeah.
Even though that's very common, I think this is a very aggressive version of it, and that's crazy.
and he's old enough, he's gonna remember this. He'll be 20, damn near 20, think back some days and just remember that shit and be like, wow, what the fuck? Because yeah, cause he's still gonna be like, yeah, I stole, which was wrong. I shouldn't have went in her bag. But you know, it's gonna end up being like, but she actually called me that.
Now, normally in these situations, people would be looking to get this woman the hell up out of
It's really
They would be
sad.
looking to get a Karen like this fired from her job. I mean, people would objectively be able to see that this is wrong. But not this woman, Shiloh Hendricks. She decided to put out a Give, Send, Go, which is the platform that Carmelo Anthony's family has been using in order to collect their donations. I think that that's a funny coincidence right there. In order to galvanize a community because she feels threatened. She says, "Hello, my name is Shiloh, and I have been put in a very dire situation. I recently had a kid steal from my 18-month-old son's diaper bag at a park. I called the kid out for what he was, a hard R N-word. Another man who..."
Right? Like, I can't believe she got away with this. And that's out. And she, I called the kid out for what he was. You didn't call that nigga a thief. You didn't call little bro a thief. You said, you fucking, you, nah! Like, you called that man a redacted.
We recently found out had a history with law enforcement, proceeded to record me and follow me to my car. He then posted these videos online, which has caused my family and myself great turmoil. My SSN has been...
Oh, yeah. I remember because apparently it came out that the cameraman, the guy that was recording her, is a predator, a pedo. Wait, why is he at a park? Damn, her social was leaked, her address and phone number. I guess she did some whack shit, but doxing her. Nah. But giving her money, she does not need $500K.
Verbally, not physically. My eldest child may not be going back to school, even where our exercise has been exposed. I'm asking for your help to assist in protecting my family. I fear that we must relocate. I have 2 small children who do not deserve this. We have been threatened to the extreme by people online. Anything will help. We cannot and will not live in fear. I think what's very interesting about this situation is she only set the donation goal for $20,000, but because America is so racist, she got half of that $20,000 goal in one anonymous giver. She then upped it to $1 million, in which they met half of the goal already, and it's only been a few days. It's so funny how
What is it now?
This racism is. I mean, the woman
This
in
video's
question,
from
Shiloh
yesterday.
Hendricks, has a clear history of being not the model person to be giving donations to. The internet quickly pulled up a shit ton of her criminal records. She has like 3 or 4 cases where she's been
Why is her name so hard? No. But her name is Shiloh Hendricks.
orderly in public, just like this situation here. But that doesn't matter because, you know, she's white.
Shiloh Hendricks called a 5-year-old black boy who has autism the N-word. And then when confronted, the person filming her, she called him the N-word at least 5 times. And that is terrible. That is disgusting behavior. But what's even worse, and it shouldn't be shocking, but it is that she raised over $100,000. But that's not what it is currently. Her original goal was for $150,000. They surpassed that goal and they went to $300,000. She currently has $311,000 and she is working towards $1 million. All because she called a 5-year-old black boy the N-word.
Now, what I find so funny in this situation is that people are just being straight blatant with their racism. You know, some of the top donations say things like white lives matter, or, you know, hey, we're sick and tired of this, or from a tired and understanding American. Although there are people in so many different rural areas, you know, different counties, different states in the United States that really could be using these donated dollars, that really could be putting this money to good use and good work, not people who have been in situations where they said something that was a racial epithet to a child and now they need protection from people, etc., etc. There are true white people that need help if all white lives matter, or whatever the case may be. But no, they're using this as a moment to essentially get off a lot of different, disgusting, nasty rhetoric. People like Elijah Schaefer, some random YouTube commentator who we can confidently say is now racist, sent out a donation to say, sending my personal support.
If y'all don't know who this is, he said something about, what's her name? Holly Bailey. When him and DDG were together. When her and DDG were together. Like, I think Halo was just born or some shit. I found it on Twitter. And that nigga said some crazy shit and everybody was like, nigga, ain't your mama dead? Oh, yeah. They got on his ass real quick.
We are all fatigued and know that rather than changing their behavior, minorities insist on trying to police our words. I expected nothing less than animal behavior for the dregs of society and understand the protective nature you have for your baby. Stay safe. Email me if you need help getting out your side of the story. You'll get through this. We can't forget that this is about a go-go squeeze and an autistic 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. Mind you, the 2-year-old baby, whatever it was, wasn't in danger as explained by the mom, which I know the story will probably change when we get to the real story. But yeah, the 5-year-old autistic child was stealing the go-go squeeze from her diaper bag. Real safety concern. I've seen people make bad faith comparisons between this situation and the Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony situation, seemingly saying that you can't pick and choose between, you know, giving one child bail money for a case that potentially has self-defense implications where, you know, there's so much more narrative to the story, as opposed to this person who was openly and admittedly racist towards a 5-year-old black child.
Shit not even comparable.
What are we doing? What are we doing? And now we're even getting to the point where I'm seeing seeing people defend Shiloh Hendricks
Sorry,
because the man in question, you know, Mr. Omar, the person who was recording in question had former essay allegations towards a minor on his jacket. You know, he had a charge and a case for all those things like that. And so they're bringing that up. All that is to distract and try to justify the actions of.
Yeah, because all of that is irrelevant to the situation. Him being a predator, yeah, terrible. Honest, obviously he's bad, but like, that's irrelevant as fuck. What does that have to do with you calling that little nigga a
Shiloh Hendricks in some sort of an attempt to defend her and what she did. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and kill a lot of people's dreams here, but the charges were dropped against the cameraman. But none of that ultimately matters. That doesn't matter if a pred recorded. That doesn't matter if somebody who punches, I don't know, walls for a living record. It doesn't matter who recorded. This woman said what she said. Exactly, it doesn't mean that we need to turn around and redirect the conversation. And now you look stupid, just like in the Carmelo Anthony situation and a lot of other situations, when you try to bring up this evidence as some sort of distraction or this proof that tries to disprove whatever narrative you're trying to paint. Like the person, Mr. Omar, Sharmak Omar, saying that, hey, he did these things with a child, even though they were dismissed, and Carmelo Anthony doesn't have a father and he's not a good student, and his father came out and he ended up being a good student. You look stupid when you push those narratives because they're trying to distract and then they get debunked, and now you're scrambling again for other things to help justify your racism. Just be racist. Now on this channel, we've given praise to Give Sin Go as a platform who has allowed Carmelo Anthony and his family to raise defense money. We know that GoFundMe has strict laws that prohibit, you know, people from raising money that are in active and ongoing investigations that are involved in like criminal proceedings. So Give Sin Go was a platform and an outlet for him to raise some sort of bail money in order to get out of that situation. But this one we don't agree with. So naturally we had to look and see why Give Sin Go would allow stuff like this to happen. And they've been tweeting and retweeting some pretty interesting conversations that people have been giving towards them directly, or just having about them, about how they're a free speech platform. You know, this is an equal opportunist platform and a bunch of religious things. Your site really doesn't get enough credit for being a true free speech platform, even though this isn't a manner of free speech. Or this very, very odd one that says murder is a sin, raising money for a murderer is a sin, using racial slurs is a sin, doxing people is a sin. All of it is sin, and sin is our problem, not skin color. When we focus on the solution to the sin, we'll stop being so divided. Until then, we're cooked. I don't know, that this is a little different of a situation, brother. But what I found the most interesting is that
I don't even like how people are honestly trying to compare that, because they both raising money. One is a possible self-defense case, and then one is an obvious racist lady who did wrong.
Jacob Wells finally got sick of all the commentary because it was so disgusting between both of these. And it's very important that we realize that the Carmelo Anthony situation is happening simultaneously, because a lot of people are using that as some sort of justification to prop up this racist woman. But so Jacob Wells put out this statement on what's going on with the two fundraisers. At Give Sin Go, we recently disabled comments on the fundraising campaigns for Carmelo Anthony and Shiloh Hendricks due to the unacceptable volume of racist and derogatory remarks.
Oh, comments.
At this time, comments were turned off. Both campaigns had raised approximately $500,000 with around 15,000 donors each. Crazy parallels. We remain committed to ensuring all funds raised are delivered to the campaign recipients as intended. However, we unequivocally condemned the hateful comments that sought to fuel division and harmful narratives. These remarks do not reflect Give Sin Go's values of hope, compassion, and fairness. Our platform exists to support individuals and families in need, and we uphold the principle that everyone deserves a fair process, not judgment by mob outrage. We took action to stop the spread of divisive rhetoric while ensuring the campaigns continue to serve their intended purpose. We call for respectful dialogue and understanding, even in challenging situations. Thank you for supporting our mission to share hope and help. Bravo. Way to sit on the fence there. I don't think I need to say this, but the biggest difference between the Carmelo Anthony situation and this situation with Shiloh Hendricks is footage. Plain and simple. Footage and a clear admittance as to what went on. That, and you add the actual racial element to it, like the acknowledged and admitted racial element, make these two total different situations. Jacob, you didn't have to do this. This was a bad move. I'm literally seeing people on the internet prop this woman up as if she's some sort of hero or martyr for calling a 5-year-old autistic child the hard R N-word. We've seen situations before.
They're doing what they think we do with George Floyd.
for where racist martyrs have stepped up and become sort of political figures because they said something outrageous to somebody of a different community. I remember that
Talk to
woman from
her.
a couple months ago who said the N-word while wearing an apron or whatever, and
Oh,
she
that
ended
white
up
lady.
being with like Sneeko and Nick Fuentes and a lot of the right-wing political
But she fell off quick.
commentary people.
Everybody I know who's married right now, married to broke-ass niggas. And they don't care. We don't give a fuck about your money.
Hey, that was me at the top. But people like her or Myron or a lot of these people who are literally racist for clicks realize fast is that, hey, these people actually don't care about me. These people don't even want me in their communities, in their circles. They just want to use me in order to get their racist talking points out. What Shiloh Hendrick has to realize is that a lot of those people were anonymous donators. Hear me out when I say this. See, you're not going to get real life support from these people. Sure, you'll get support from the
Yeah, they're
Elijah
anonymous.
Schafers of the world, but
Yeah.
he's already been casted as somebody who's on
Like,
the
he's
fringes
known
of
as a fucking
society,
weird
and his
nigga.
internet personality.
He's known as a
It's just
weirdo.
openly racist. So he can live his life like that, but the types of connections that he has that you will be able to tap into later on as you have to live with the consequences of your actions won't be the ones that you want. You'll have to continue to double down and triple down and be progressively more racist. Oxymoronic just a little bit. But you'll have to up it on the scale of what is and isn't okay with you. You'll have to double and triple down. You might have said those
Yeah.
things about that young black boy, but might not have those feelings about black men, as people have shown in pictures. What I'm ultimately saying is you're tying yourself to a community that doesn't really support you. And hey, I know that sounds crazy after getting $500,000 and is on a fast pace to a full $1 million. But you seem fairly young. That
They're
money's
really
gonna
only
run
doing
out.
that to push
and then when you have to
racism.
face the real world consequences of your actions, you know, trying to get a job, trying to live in a certain society, trying to go to the gym even, that's gonna be pretty tough for you. And while you're looking in real life for people to help you, those anonymous faces won't come and defend you in these very public places. You understand what I'm saying? If they really wanted to support you, if they really truly believed your cause was good or whatever the case may be, and weren't just trying to get off their nasty rhetoric or weren't feeling scorned because they feel less empowered or whatever the case may be, they would put a name on that bullet. But they don't, because they're scared. Just like you were when you called a 5-year-old autistic boy the N-word. These racists make me sick.
I feel like this world will never get better because the way racism works, we know how it's taught. That shit is gonna always be taught. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. 10K by the end of the year. Sub up. Do not be a fuck nigga.